mind, game 5, game 6, maybe the end of the day, if they're not high up on the leaderboard, we have the potential to see something crazy.
I'm almost wondering what things might even be looking like by game 3, because you have to remember we have that little bit of a player break in between matches 3 and 4 here today. And so I'm not saying that, creators are going to start trying to team up and maybe work against some of the more power-suited duos, but maybe don't be surprised if you start seeing a lot more attention kind of thrown towards teams that are on that top half of the leaderboard, just because I do think the vast majority of the Fortnite community would probably be
Yo, Dennis, I'm back. Chat, made it to where my screen's big, so now you can watch the pro-am with me.
Top 5 for this event, but
okay, we are super delayed, so I'm restarting. I'm restart YouTube. Yeah. Wait, chat, did they end it? No.
It's so easy to have a little bit of fun making some content, things like that. But
here we go.
You actually get in
we got the pro-am on screen.
Like, really deep, like,
what's my quality? My quality should be at max.
You're really trying to make sure that you're not fully gunning out on the broadcast stream.
Yep, we're just seeing Yugi right there for a second. Just kind of like brings back, Jinxie's host a ton of different gaming tournaments out there. Yugi is somebody that honestly surprised me of how good.
Who's that? Is that Crackley?
Games in general, you kind of see him.
Am I tripping, or is that Crack? No.
Just entertaining people outside of video games, but he actually kind of. I don't remember if he won it all the way or maybe got second, but that alone is a testament.
Yo, chat, there's Brayden right here.
And then now
you don't know who this is, but he's like the Marlin. He's like the new Marlin.
Like this, because I almost feel like this tournament it's kind of like fighting a bear, running from a bear in the woods. You don't have to run faster than the bear. You just need to run faster than the people you're with, which is the competition in this lobby. You don't necessarily need to be the best. You just can't be the worst. And there's still a lot of money up for grabs. $10,000 for first place, $1,000 inside of the top 10, and then plus that $1,000 for every single.
Chat, I'm gonna be here one day.
Imagine if you come out today when all 7.
That is not Crackley.
That's $7,000 before you even look at the leaderboard.
I don't know.
There's chat. This is Booger. Pretty sure this is Booger.
If anybody actually manages to get more than like 3, I think that'd be crazy. I'm not anticipating there to be a
Brayden, bro.
Victor Royale winner every single lobby, but I do think
that's Crackley.
To get more than like the hat trick.
Yeah, that's Crackley.
So do you think we are going to go to heal-offs?
Wait, where's that Higgs?
Do you think
Am I tripping?
end before that comes into play? The last time we kind of seen like a major
side views don't help. Turn your head. Turn your head. Turn your head. Please turn. Turn your head. Turn your head. Turn your head. It's Higgs.
Man, see, that's a little bit tougher to call this early on, because part of me wants to assume that like some of the content creators that are a little bit less familiar with like the Fortnite environment, they might be trying to play it a litut bit more slow paced. But again, you're kind of just how well.
Well, that boy is moving. All right, so I'm gonna go give me some chips. Also, I'll be back.
Because not everything is going to be calms out. Some of the comms might not even be understood in the heat of the moment. I mean, we got everybody kind of shouting. You know that all of these content creators are 1000% going to be getting very loud, not just for their own chats, but just because it's fun. They get invested. It's hard not to kind of feel that little bit of rush of adrenaline and like energy when you're in the heat of the moment. So I think that maybe
I'm back.
Game heal off, but for the most part,
curious to see like how well our pros adapt to some of the creators that might not necessarily be on their skill level. And like I mentioned, like Bolts and Primate Page. Bolts is as we talk about one of the best players in the game, particularly when it becomes a fragger for his teams. But with Bolts moving as quick as he does, how does that work with somebody like Primate Page? How do you keep up? I know me, I'm not a stranger to Fortnite, but I even sometimes have trouble keeping up with these guys in the end game in those fast moments. And so it just makes you wonder how much thought these pros actually went into how to play with their duo. Of course, they could probably 1v2 and take a majority of those fights, but how do you approach those scenarios where you need to keep your duo alive? And to me, that's going to be the interesting thing for a lot of our pros today.
Chad, do y'all know any of these people?
As long as we don't get any hold my wall circumstances, I think we'll be okay. I think everybody in today's competition
has
at least gone, one step ahead of where that was at.
Oh, okay.
Whenever Lacey was running his fun stakes competition and whatnot. But
That's a team bonding right there.
A little bit.
Jinx and RD Moon right there. Just got to go ahead and do whatever it takes to make sure that they're close together. You see them kind of playing in the same lobby. And you see like the different approaches to the game. Some players are just mentally getting ready. Some are just getting ready inside of the game. You see Queasy just kind of warming up here, just trying to show the ropes on the
Yo,
other
who is
side.
that?
And that's something that I think is very, very important. Is just how
Chad, they got
balanced
Liam there.
it is. You know,
It's
you
Liam.
don't put too much
Look at
pressure
him.
going into the,
That's
game number one. You want to make sure you kind of feel out the competition and just, think to yourself, like, not every game is going to go perfect. Mistakes will happen, but how do you approach the situation when the mistakes happen? How do you climb yourself out of it? So I kind of look at some of our RGLs, the Queasies, the Acorns, about how they approach those tough mid-game scenarios.
I do think a lot of the heavy lifting is going to be on the IGLing for our Fortnite pros today, though, whether or not that's their natural role when it comes to even the FNCS environment, that you got to toss it out the window.
Yeah, I think
You
that is
are
Fran.
picking up the slack today and really
Or am I
having
tripping?
to lead in that sort of direction.
Exit, yeah,
We'll
that's
see
Fran.
what happens with Curve even moving forward, but you can already see drawing it back. And I think one of my favorite things, though, about somebody like Sphinx is that, regardless of the outcome throughout each of these lobbies, he is someone that I think is excellent in terms of he understands the vibe. He understands how to keep the vibe check going when it comes to, like, in-person event. And I think that with today's competition, he's really just focused on trying to keep them both in a positive headspace.
Yeah, and I like that. Sphinx is
That boy is
one
locked
of the
in.
collective players. If you guys ever have a chance to talk to Sphinx, you realize he's kind of like down to earth. He doesn't get overly excited for no reason, so I do like that. Muzz is kind of someone very, very similar. You don't see very, very moments, even when it's well deserved. Muzz popping off, talking his talk, kind of lets his gameplay do a lot of that talking. And, coming in, just talking to him, what do you think about your duo Somerset? How confident are you actually
Me playing Fortnite,
going
watching a
into this?
guy
And
watching
Muzz
Fortnite
honestly
players
is
play
just
Fortnite.
full confidence, especially learning that
Nah, Jump, it's the Pro Am. I can't miss
that
this.
Reload Clicks Icon series tournament.
You'll never see the Muzz crash outs.
There's
unless
Reed.
He's playing solos. That's the only time. That's
My
like his
goat.
one exception. But I think that
Oh, is that the booger?
would apply to just about everyone.
No, that is not the
that's
booger.
participating here today, whether they're a Fortnite.
Chat, me and Liam are gonna be
or
there
not.
one day.
I think that everybody kind of just feels a different type of way whenever you're running the game in solo competition. But definitely looking forward to seeing what Cooper and Zero
there's Demi.
actually manage to get up
Is
to.
that
I mean, the
Crackly?
fact that they're both just like rebuilding, really letting it fly. Crackly and Victor Vita, I
That is
cannot
Crackly.
believe that we have set these two next to each other. Just a complete row of just very lethal competitors for the overarching competition.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, Crackly, he's been a professional player of the past. He has reached the finals lobby before, but he's primarily a content creator. He loves zero builds, so make sure you guys go check out Crackly, especially for those of you that do like the zero build part of Fortnite. Exactly. Crackly is just somebody I feel like everybody, if you don't know, you need to start to figure it out this weekend. But he's paired with Victor V. And I think as of recently, more and more people are starting to realize who Victor V is. He comes from NA West. When the first time I got to see Victor V, he wasn't necessarily getting the same limelight he is now. If you guys take a trip down memory lane with me,
That's
I think
TG
it was
right there,
Victor V
in the
and
hat.
Blizzard at the time. I don't know who his duo was, but he was actually contesting Epicwell and Arkham. Yes, I said Arkham. If you guys don't know who that is, maybe you guys can do the Fortnite Arkham.
What is Peter? What is Lacey
Everybody in
doing?
the community was looking down on someone like Victor V, right?
Oh, I forgot Lacey's
And
injured.
Fox, of course, were like, hey, if you guys don't want us to land here, take us out, and that's the only way we're going to leave. And they stayed there, and Victor V is somebody that's not afraid to contest some of the best in the world. And right now, I think he is the next up in terms of players ready to take that spotlight. If anybody in the pro, like the upper echelon, the tier ones, if they start to slip up and their teammates are looking for a duo, you expect Victor V now getting a chance to play Queasy in actual FNCS here. But this pro-am playing with Crackly, I think they're on everybody's top line.
Yeah, you got a lot of hungry competitors though when it comes to the
Alright,
NAC.
here's all the teams. We got Pete and Fag City, Higgs and Braden, Reed and Fran, S brother. Wait, they're both pros though. Okay, Guapo and Roz, Acorn and Muda, Boyo and Jinxie, Sphinx and RD Moon, Cooper and Zemi, Booga and Yuki, Bolt, I don't know who, Primate Page, Clicks and Lacey, Rapid and TG, Kanada and Archie, Curve and Yusuf, Ritual and Nina, Queasy and Ashall, Muzz, Somerset, They're both pros, I think. No, there's no way, because I could have swore both of them have earnings. Victor V and Crackley, Vino and Ron, and Agers and Hammy.
And I know he's
Alright. Those are all the teams for y'all.
Land, which caused like roster disruptions. Now we see Curve playing with a whole different teammate, and this time around though he's playing with Yusuf, and I'm not sure Yusuf's actual familiarity with Fortnite, but if Curve can come out of his shell, he is an IGL for his teams. He is somebody that can pick up the
I know, bro. I know we will.
For him and Yusuf, to me, the biggest
Next season, though. It'd be next season.
He come out of his shell in his very first pro-am.
It might take him a game or two, I think, to really feel things out and start to feel super comfortable with Yusuf. I think the other thing, too, is that even if you're not necessarily expecting your direct duo to have, you know, the craziest mechs or anything like that for Fortnite competition, it's just how well are they going to actually be able to kind of fight your direction? I think Curve is really going to have the lean into that side of things, but the way things are rolling, everybody, do not fear. We are still getting ready to head into competition. Want to make sure it's a fair environment for everybody involved. So we'll be getting into the action shortly, but trust me, this is all just adding direct.
TG looks like he's done gaining weight.
Because
or is it just me?
All just like itching to get fighting.
Yeah, and I think that played like a huge role, you know, because once you start to get antsy,
Am I
ready to
tripping?
drop out of that battle bus and kind of get.
I just seen facts.
I feel like the more you're kind of waiting leading up to it, as excited as you're getting, it kind of will lead some players to maybe make some mistakes that you wouldn't necessarily normally make in the early game. Luckily, it is reload, so if you go down, your teammate still alive. There is chance for you to get rebooted back in the game. And one thing I was kind of talking about with reload, you know, last time we saw it with Ollie A just kind of getting farmed out.
I don't know, Jep.
And realistically enough, even if he did touch down, that version of reload at the time, he would have just had an AR. He would have had nothing to work with. Now, I don't know exactly what stage of the game they are, but will the beginning spawn with your AR, a couple of builds, and then you end up with a more fight, assault rifle, and SMG with some minis, and then
they put Clicks and Peter by each other. It's about to be straight beef, bro.
Rifle and the blue tack with splashes and minis later on in the game. So if you do find yourself getting eliminated towards 4th, 5th, or even 6th zone, it's not over just yet. Yes, the probability of you touching down is going to be slim enough. But
is Dave the diver there? Yeah, I seen him earlier.
You will be able to at least get a loadout, and then you kind of add in
Dave the diver is there. That's why I hope they lose. He's on Peter Bud's team.
That would be the main thing, I think, that I'm kind of keeping an eye on for some of our less familiar Fortnite participants in today's competition. But not only that, I do think that we've always got to send a friendly reminder for when the reboots cut off. So everything that's taking place up till Zone 7. And that's going to be kind of like the golden rule of like, don't get eliminated from this point on. At the very least, let's try to stick it out as a duel for as long as possible, because one thing that I think could be a
yeah, TG looks big now.
Some of our Fortnite pros and some of these content creator duos is
it could just be me though. It could just be the screen.
It's like you stay behind, I'll keep charging forward, and hopefully be able to net us a solid endgame placement. Because
Chad, where's Ron? They haven't showed Ron at all.
Teams are aiming for that immediate top 3 every single match. Obviously, everyone's going to be trying to get a victory royale, but second and third, still having the $500 and the $200 respectively. Decent amount of funds up for grabs.
Yeah, so that's going to be a big thing to kind of look at. And especially, you know, we keep talking about it. It's a reload. It's a different feel, a different vibe. But again, there is money up for grabs. There's a ton of bragging rights here because, you know, last year we had Ozzy, we had Peterbot win the actual thing. They got to hoist their trophy. Look at that. They got a team today that is going to be able to hoist those trophies right in the middle and take home what could be over $10,000.
Where's all the placement?
Placement alone will be $10,000 for first place.
First place gets 10K.
For a lot of these content creators that are coming in today,
that's also like nothing, but
up to the event, because I know so many of them were striving very much so to try and get their respective invitations for Kaizenat Strip University. A lot of them are coming into today's competition in pretty high spirits, knowing that they've got that locked in. So this is just one more stepping stone on the road to content making, and I think it's a great opportunity for them to kind of showcase that they're able to kind of, you know, spread their wings and fly further than just like the viral streaming departments. A lot of these competitors here today, they're looking to really try and make some form of a mark, whether it's getting a funny clip, a
Alright, I'll be back,
crazy
chat.
key
I'm gonna go put my
clip,
stuff
or
up.
anything in between. Like, I'm sure we are going to see something fun and interesting from everyone here today.
Yeah, I gotta agree with it 100%. That's why I kind of mentioned, with Ron and Lacey landing so close together, their situation there. We know what Peterbot does in regular tournaments, landing on clicks. Is there some bad blood there? Does clicks want to finally get his get back? Maybe Peter's in first and he kind of returns that favor. Reet and Frantic. I feel like Reet and Frantic will kind of play under the radar. You know what I mean? They're in a very different boat than majority of the teams. I think Cooper and Zemi is very, very similar. I even think, Ritual and Nina are going to be in a similar boat to where they know the skill is there. They know that both of them are a much better duo than some of the other players in the lobby. But with that much confidence, does it lead to success, or does it lead to, maybe making some risky plays and the eventual downfall?
Oh, something that makes it a little bit more fun, though, for like Ritual and Nina, as you can tell from the drop map, they're not actually marked. And a big reason to that is because since it was such a last-minute shoe in addition for Nina to be playing with Ritual, they were both very open about the fact that, like, hey, we know no matter where we go, we are going to be contested. So they kind of have the world as their oyster, essentially, because they could switch it up every single game if they want to, or maybe they find, some of the opening drops just working out extremely well for them. So they decide, let's just commit to contesting this. We're getting the better end of the spiel anyway, so like, why not? But I also just kind of have to draw a note to teams like Clicks and Lacey, for example, going up against the likes of Higgs and Brayden. Clicks, you have to remember, he played a long time with Higgs. He's very savvy towards Higgs's methods of IGLing, and so maybe even a little bit of a sense of I'm in your head sort of thing. And I think that Clicks and Lacey, they should take the bigger stance of aggressiveness. I want to see them keying, if anything, to really test the middle of Higgs and Brayden early on, but we're already jumping right in. Pete, Faxity, they're ready to get the show started.
Yeah, enough talking about the walk, and let's get to stepping right now. We saw it on the drop map coming into this. Peterbot Faxity uncontested, and we asked the questions about how serious is Pete going to take it. It looks like game number one, a little bit of an early start, but I see Poyo and Jinxie. I'm not sure if it was out of the sky, but they are our first team eliminated out of this year's Pro-Am.
It just comes so quickly when you least expected. Jinxie just, I feel a little bit bad because like we're gassing it. We're ready to see exactly what he has in store, but unfortunately we are just going to have to sit and wait a little bit longer before we get an opportunity to see how they're planning on advancing. Still, for everyone else that's still participating, Jacob, a lot at stake already. Kind of teams trying to see how much they can really settle with each other. And for Rise, just going for the classico, just lurking.
Got me scratching our heads. I'm thinking, Rise, A2 Guapo, Elite Armory. Something about this just doesn't look right. And yes, because in the drop map, A2 Guapo and Rise were saying, yo, we're landing Chisel Cube. But maybe they didn't want to triple contest that drop. They said Elite Armory might be better off. There is a little bit more space, and there's not that underground divot that you could hide into. So already, our first switch up from what we typically see in the drop map is going to come from Rise and A2 Guapo. Is that a Rise call? Is that a Guapo call? We'll definitely figure that one out soon.
I feel like that's just Rise trying to have some fun with it. He seemed like he was just a man on a mission to go demon mode, but Click shutting down Rapid, the newly formed duo, but they've got to be enemies in today's competition.
Better be careful there, Clicks. Rapid might take that one a little bit personal, but like you said, first elimination on the board. Clicks starting to feel a little bit more confident here in this game. We saw Lacey moments ago. You can kind of see him in the outskirts, still over at Hostile Hole, just trying to loot up, trying to farm, and I think that's going to be a viable strategy here. While Clicks and some of our pro players start to get a little bit aggressive, get the early game eliminations, you're going to have your creator farming up as much of the material as possible, as Curve and Queasy seem to be going head-to-head here, but there's another player trying to interrupt this fight. That's Yusuf on the side, and that's going to scare Queasy away. He's trying to create distance, run. There's a lot of builds being placed, but Curve doesn't look like to be slowing down just yet.
Queasy is just trying to see whether or not if he can take a stab at picking up some elimination points. Just based off the map alone, it's only Queasy that's here. He's opted to just leave his duo at their established drop, be like, hey, gather what you can, don't worry about me, I'll figure it out along the way. And for the most part, he's at least done a solid job at not being sent packing immediately. He was not able to really find those eliminations that he would hope for onto Curve, but sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles.
And I liked how A2 Guapo, or not A2 Guapo, but Yusuf was attacking from the side. Curve was going underneath. Yusuf was trying to attack from the side, which is actually perfect. Rise does go down to Sphinx. It's crackling Victor V. I did see in the feed that Ritual was able to get at least one early elimination onto Victor V, but instantly back into the game. He's trying to go on the offensive, get his get back. Guapo versus Sphinx. A little bit of a mismatch here, but Guapo needs to stay alive long enough for Rise to come back, in which he does. But he's actually handling the pressure pretty well. There's no early aggression coming in, and if he does, you can see that he just does not have a shotgun, though. He has the hunting rifle, he has the mammoth, so there's no shotgun.
Yo, I did not. Yo, wait, my bad. I'm back.
Sphinx doesn't decide to play with his dude. He'd rather
Oh wait, they're actually in the game. Okay.
here, and that's not falling
Crackly
back.
kills
Third
Nina.
party
Wait, I
trap
should move this out the way
Guapo
so you can
knows
see.
Rise has been taken out. That's what Sphinx
Move
was
these.
really after, just chasing down
Okay,
more.
so now you have to see whoever dies.
He knows
Up over
Guapo's
here.
not going to really be the one that I
Sweat.
need to stay restricted in terms of.
These are some of the best players in the world. Okay, you have Sphinx. Sphinx fighting Guapo.
Guapo just doesn't have any more material left over. He's back to playing zero builds now, just trying to see if he can scramble around the corner, but it's no use.
Guapo goes down to Sphinx.
Going to have to see whether or not he can get his get back, but he knows it's just not worth it. It's not worth the chase.
Hey, but Guapo did his job. He's actually moving through those builds a little bit quicker than I expected. Got it early on, but again, did his job. And this is kind of that pseudo loadout I was talking about. You do have that heavy assault rifle, the SMP. He does find some extra loot around the map, but you're not dropping in dry anymore. Higgs is down. Brayden trying to save the day.
Brayden killed Higgs.
Aggressive. Former teammates now turn foes. Brayden needs to stay alive at least 10 seconds here. Clicks going on the offensive and sends Brayden and Higgs back to the lobby. Our second team is already down.
And it looks like a
Clicks
third
kills
chance
Brayden and
to
Higgs.
them. Bolts has been eliminated. Not sure if it was Bolt and Primate Page. Only time will tell. But fact of the matter is, this is what I was asking for leading into the first lobby, and seeing it in real time, that's exactly the kind of presence that I'm expecting from Clicks and Lacey. They've got so much fighting power as a duo. Why not take that fight directly to Higgs and Brayden every single lobby?
Yeah, just trying to see if we tune in for the seconds ago. Cooper taken down. I believe so much as Curves do. We saw them rotating in that direction, and you're eventually going to run into Cooper and Zemi. And I think Cooper and Zemi is going to be one of those teams, if the zone continues to pull towards the north, they have access to that launch pad towards the south side of the map, and they can instantly use that if they stay inside of the zone. You said it yourself, it doesn't turn off.
Fact, he's trying to 1v2 right now.
Typically see players start to play careful until zone 5 and zone 6.
Maybe a little bit of a hiccup here, though, for...
You got AJ riding
It all
around.
depends on whether or not Veno and Rom want to keep the aggression going, but Pete, he's already on a solo mission. 4 eliminations is disgusting. What else, if not
Oh,
tag after tag? Surprised that he's still hunting his 5th elimination. Thought it would have happened by now, but looking back, you could tell Pete's ready.
Coded Russian.
Connect, and
Coded
he
Russian
does.
on
He's not
Peter
fully
Bot.
cleaned up just yet, but it's only a matter of seconds.
Just unfortunate. Honestly, we
Code
see
lid
the
goes
best
down.
of the best.
To Pete.
And the last Reload Elite Series qualifier go through this exact same thing from Peter Bot. I bet you all the A's at home watching with a bucket of popcorn, just laughing at every. See how it feels, just pointing at everybody. Rise finally used that launch pad. It's the bigger.
Timmy, me and
faster
Liam are going to be
launch
there
pad,
next
they
year.
can higher and further. That's going to allow them to kind of get.
That's where me and Liam are
going
gonna
to
be next year.
Try to escape. You can kind of see the struggles. A lot of the teams here. Victor being Crackly seems to be the only one left at Chisholm Cube. I use that loosely because Victor V seems to be going on the hunt for Rise here, sneaking up, getting the shield.
Holy
around,
bean.
HP left, and he's immediately going to use that as a green light to send himself flying on over and getting the knock on the Rise.
Victor V kills Rise.
I saw Old Yeller get taken out back. That was disgusting from Victor V, but hey, Rise not typically one to go down without a fight. I think it's largely just that slowdown and pacing earlier in the match. Whenever you are eliminated super early on, we saw Sphinx kind of chasing him out. And now he's just going to keep the assault going, just trying to see.
You will, Timmy.
Because
You will see us there.
elimination feed light up. That's going to really be the key circumstance here for all of these players, because they're kind of trying to stay on par with each other.
Yeah, we're starting to enter into that danger zone. Reboots don't turn off till zone 7, but we're already in zone 5. It's already closing, moving into zone 6, and you can see over in the distance. I don't know if that's ashed out, but they're just getting far out of the sky over and over. And
Timmy, there really wasn't
over.
anything
And the
new.
thing
It was
is,
just extra
with
hollow
teammates
foil
really
chances.
deep in the zone surviving in a situation like this, right? When you reboot in the same portion
Oh
of
my.
the zone. So you reboot so far away. Venom's going to get aggressive onto Agers here. Misses that pretty quick opportunity. Almost had the full boxed up. Pressure coming out. They're trying to alleviate it. That's Hammy on the other side, trying to get Agers out safely.
But now they're a little bit too close together at this stage. Hammy might find himself actually being sent into the turner by Zeno and Ron. All depends on whether or not Zeno's actually willing to keep trying to press the gas on the pedal here, but Agers has separated enough distance. Still think this isn't often something that we see become an issue for players in these matches, but at the same time, it all depends on Veno.
If I ain't there, I lied to you. Trust, bro. We will be there next year.
Inside of the storm, but Agers just immediately punished for not getting the immediate knock.
Oh, they got the drum gun. If Vino got the drum gun, it's wraps.
You kind of mess up on, and it's not. Look at the loadout.
Mythic
He's
drum.
leaving a gold gatekeeper. His loadout is that good. You said the mythic drum gun. Veno right now with his loadout is somebody I do not want to fight against. You see Rise get the revive onto Guapo. Muda and Acorn rotating in from the top side of the map. Positioned a little bit
Booga's in
too
zone.
closely for my liking against Victor V and Crackley, but you can see all of these teams essentially in the center of the zone.
And
Trust, bro, we will be there.
concern when we saw Agers running back towards his duo, thought that Hammy for a moment was just going to
Peter gets another kill.
extended an invitation like, oh,
So does
look,
Kanata.
found us, bro. It's just hard to escape sometimes. But Sphinx, Artie Moon, just waiting it out. No player, Sphinx especially. You never want to be the first one to get lobby focus, but sometimes it's kind of inevitable, especially because it depends on whether or not Artie Moon is actually holding on to a little bit of overdrive grenades. The mobility is really going to be the crucial element here, and how well some of these creators are able to actually keep up with the pro players on their movement senses.
Yeah, I would say I saw Artie Moon start to leave outside of the box. I'm like, no, no, no! It's less than 60 seconds before reboots turn off. You're already in the center of the map. You have no reason to start to venture out. Peterbot Vaxity taking that strategy.
I don't know, Jeff.
Not too far away from their current POI. They're going to use that long launch pad and try to make it in. They want to dodge a lot of the chaos here, but usually you have some sort of med kits or HP that you can gain that is more than bandages. It's going to take 3 seconds for 15 HP, and it only maxes you out at 75 overall.
But why is Pete about to hit 10 eliminations? Jacob, like, he is just unstoppable. And I almost feel bad for everybody else in this lobby right now, but then I remember
Clicks and
we're
Lacey.
playing for a really solid prize pool. So at the end of the day, everybody gets a little bit of something, depending on their placement. You just might start at $200, or you might start at 10K, but there is also ample opportunity to try and get inside that top 3 threshold. But for right now, things are definitely starting to heat up. Clicks, Lacey, prime positioning, a little bit of overhead, a little bit of
Faxity is Timmy.
aware of the fact though, they're about to get landed.
He's been
on.
his teammate for
Might
like 3
opt
years
to
now.
Drop a layer. They don't want to go in too soon, but they recognize actually this is just an incredibly weak player. We might as well just completely take advantage of that.
Yeah, respawns have officially turned off, but that was a player rebooting at the last possible second, almost moving directly to the box. Lacey pick up their 5th elimination of this game. Trying to get them maxed out on the materials. You can see that pseudo loadouts and some extra splashes, minis being dropped down. They're not too far away from where the current zone actually is, so they have plenty of options to work with.
Agers
Unlike
front
Agers
zone.
here seems to be a solo here left in this game. He has just over 5.
He's separated from Hammy though.
So he may need a refresh if he's looking to win it all.
And normally this wouldn't be too pressing of an issue, but the problem is he's got Veno and Ron right next door to him. Those are definitely 2 very competent fighters, and if Agers isn't careful, his next step might be his last. I'll have to check that in there, because right now it's all about Chris, Lacey. They've completely taken over. High investment. That could change in a moment.
Muzz and Somerset are
Already
below ground.
things out. He's got
Actually, no, they're at height. They're at high
It
ground.
might only be a matter of time before we see Muzz and Somerset really take that challenge on the high ground. ground.
I'm not gonna say too soon, but last time we seen Clicks and Lacey together on high ground, there was a little bit of a blunder, a shockwave that sent Lacey flying. Luckily, yeah, luckily for Clicks, he was able to kind of
I don't know,
clutch it
Jet.
out. But you see the Wrecker revolver in Lacey's hands with that SMG, so he's gonna be able to deal a ton of damage from far away. A couple of the extra builds being set in his inventory, and then the
Clicks and
medkits
Lacey are
just
on
in
height.
case this does come to a heal off.
Yeah.
Really gotta be super careful when you're trying to hold down
Yeah,
high
Zep,
in
I
this
do.
type of reload meta, just knowing that at any point somebody could look to challenge you, and Venno playing through that low line, just completely collapsing.
Arky goes down.
Arky just had it open a little bit too long, and that's the wiggle room that Venno needed. It's just insane how rapidly
Clicks and Lacey are still on height.
And luckily for Arky, though, they did deal some damage onto Venno, so he had to pause and heal instead of jumping over on this rotation as Clicks Lacey. Their plan for now is continue to hold on to their presence on the high ground, reconnect, make sure they cannot get chopped down easily, but they need to watch. Make sure that second high isn't trying to lurk on up, especially the base that they've already abandoned. And you know in the back of a lot of these players' minds, they have the launch pads and the fizz, so high ground can get tested at any moment.
They've still got a great amount of hard materials to work with, though. I like
Acorn stuck in zone. Acorn might go down here.
Able to stay established and maintain high ground.
No, Acorn is still alive.
To bring you home the first victory royale, but right now it's all about whether or not Acorn can try and bring
Nice
you
job.
back. He's really going to have to go
Did TJ go down? TG. Did TJ go down? I think he did.
And Acorn just kind of left to try and find his rhythm. But it's
Typical.
gonna be tough.
Yeah,
He's
TG
likely
went
gonna have
down.
to opt to just playing super low side, and not only that, but backside of zone, which is just going to leave him very susceptible to getting cut off by a more established duo.
I feel so bad.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
our
Timmy.
players. This is game one, and they got a chiseled cube zone going inside of chiseled cubes, and now it's moving outside, up the side of that mountain. So if you're not prepared, good luck to you. You know, Venno is, Clicks, Lacey, they continue to maintain their presence. There goes the Mythic, just trying to nail down as much pressure as possible with that drum gun, and instantly watching his back to make sure they don't get any free damage put on them. And you can see they're not getting desperate for eliminations here. They're just putting one foot in front of another to make things work.
But they might need to step to it because those material counts were running incredibly low there for Ron. Only about 25 builds. Pete down to his final one. Fax already eliminated.
Fact that he's already dead.
When you talk about a clutch machine, he's usually the man to get the job done. But in this type of scenario, he's having to break through so many pre-existing builds.
Does Pete go down here?
Really got his work cut out for him.
Lacey's fighting Muzz on height. Clicks is on low ground.
Clicks, Lacey, they've been deep thrown from height.
Yeah, but Somerset sent it flying. They had a launch pad in their inventory, so they knew they at least wanted to contest it over at the top side of the map. They sent Clicks down below. It looks like Lacey and him momentarily separated, but he's trying to return back to the scene.
Lacey goes down.
Lacey goes down. Clicks doing what he can, but now he's in a 1v2 situation, and he's running out of builds here. If this goes on a full-on build fight, Clicks being a solo, it might not work out for them, but there's no attempt coming in from Muzz and Somerset just yet. But a big shot's going to
Clicks going to go down here?
The green light, 10 HP. Clicks trying to survive, but he's getting sprayed back further and further into the
Clicks
zone.
goes down to
And he's
Somerset.
getting taken out by Somerset.
And those angle cutoffs were dastardly from Muzz and Summer, by the way. Muzz just immediately pressing against every single one of the walls that Clicks kept trying to establish, and Summer from overhead shredding through those builds. Only so many options left to kind of grab. Here for everybody on the low ground, though, Jacob, you already nailed it. Chiseled Cubes is a vicious zone pool, but this established elevation right now for Somerset and Muzz, that's seeming to be the real difference maker. Kanata's still doing his best, though, in the undeveloped co-op.
Yeah, just feel bad for him. He's getting a 2v1, no HP. He goes down. Somerset
Kanata goes down.
and Muzz versus typical gamer.
OTG
and
is
Rapid,
alive.
2v2
Oh.
to close out game number one. It's the interesting decision here is you look at how many old builds. Since we teeter-tottered back and forth through Chisel Cube, there are so much builds already placed down, so it's not going to be easy for high ground to spray through. But Rapid looked like he's going to try to play Disruptor with some shockwave. He can instantly try to take the 2v1 on high ground.
Not only that, but because they were getting so fraggy in the low ground, they've also got a little bit more materials to work with in comparison to Muzz and Somerset. Well, they were able to apply pressure from overhead, but now
no,
without
Jeff.
it up close and personal, it all depends on whether or not they'll actually be able to continue trying to block the line of sight. And Muzz already experiencing a lot of that pressure, opting in to try and fall back for a moment's notice here. He needs to get that Flowberry Fizz online, throws out the overdrive grenade. Great way to send
Oh.
back, but now right side
Muzz gets a kill.
That's exactly the kind of advantage they needed. All he has to do is close it out.
Oh, and he does so.
Somerset and
instantly.
Muzz.
and Somerset not only contested Clicks and Lacey on the high ground, but closing out game number 1. Interesting 2v2 to say the least, but they were in the driver's seat for the majority of that end game, and they drove it past the finish line to cash in on $1,000 for that game win.
Hey, you say interesting, but I think if you were to ask the chat, guys, would you believe that Muzz and Somerset were up against Rapid and Typical Gamer in an end game for today's competition? Not too many people would be that surprised.
Yeah, Rapid Typical Gamer on the low ground. Honestly, they went through a lot of chaos. That Chisel Cubes end zone was not easy or fun for anybody to play through, going in and around the actual POI that we saw at one point go towards the north, up the side of the mountain. I think Muzz and Somerset, I don't know if they were watching it, but we know Muzz likes to play for high ground when that opportunity does present itself, and they perfectly went up when Clicks and Lacey least expected.
Hey, they've definitely showcased what they are capable of. We knew that they would have a lot of fighting caliber behind them. We knew that they were going to be methodical in their gameplay because both of them really savvy competitors, but we want to hear directly from Somerset and Muzz. So, Levin, what have you got for us?
We are here with our game 1 winners. A lot of people looked at you two and thought, you guys are 2 of the better players competing together. Somerset, I said if you guys didn't do well, I'd be a bit disappointed. So far, game 1, not a disappointment, eh?
No. I think we're definitely doing how we thought we would do, and there's so much more to come, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned, Muzz. That game was smooth, man. It looks like you guys were...
Endgame, bro. Everyone's like trying to fight because, you know, there's some creators here that aren't, like, they don't play Fortnite. Everyone's trying to drop kills, but we're just playing a calm, smooth endgame, took height, and just got a clean win.
Is there anything you think that can stop you guys today?
Maybe, like, someone just griefing us for fun, but that's about it.
Nobody would do that, though, right? We don't know anyone who'd do that. Somerset, I mean, did you even have any difficulty in that game? Was there anyone that caught you by surprise at all? Was it just like an easy game 1?
It honestly felt a lot more calm than I thought it would. You know, the game kind of died out pretty quick, and then we were just looking at height the whole time, I felt like, and like maybe the one fight on height was a little rough, but everything else was honestly pretty smooth, to my surprise anyways.
And you're playing with someone that's got a fair bit of experience on land. Were you a bit nervous in that first game at any point, right? You know?
No, I played with Muzz a lot, so just in my past, we got good.
Yeah, who's that random NPC? Is that Bucky? That is. What's Bucky doing?
Game 1. Hope to see more from these guys as far as wins are concerned. I mean, it's not too shabby, guys. Taco, Jacob, what do you think?
That's game number 1, and a real way to set the pace, because now a lot of our pros got that first game out of the way. They know how their duo actually is, the kind of pacing that they need to play. And then on the flip side of a lot of our pros, you know, specifically Muzz, Somerset, Rapid, even though Typical Gamer inside of the mix as well, they've warmed up and ready to go. Even Cooper and Zemi making it far.
What's been nagging in the back of my mind, though, is what is going to happen with Jinxie in game 2? Because we didn't get to see anything from game 1. I'm really sad to even have to utter those words, but it's just the reality of it is that the competition, it can be pretty cutthroat, and I think that they definitely experience it firsthand.
Yeah, and I think we've seen so many moments for those that are a little bit more familiar with Fortnite competitive, with the gliding process, especially in a map like Reload, where there is hills, there is mountains, there's buildings where you can instantly land, get either a floor loot or a chest, get one of those ARs out of the spawn, and instantly start to look off into the distance. So I think the bus path definitely did not play a good role in Poyo and Jinxie going down early. But honestly, I think even for Poyo, for Jinxie, they're going to come back. They're going to probably try to switch something up in terms of their drop, because that glider mechanic where you cut the glider might not be something that they were really thinking about in that last game.
Hey, always gotta have faith, though. I know that Jinxie's chat is definitely going to try.
I don't know why, but she sounds like she would be bald. Like, I feel like it's a wig.
The Poyo factor. You can never count out the Poyo distribution chain of events, because we're going to see something.
What's up, Zonboss?
At least once today.
Yeah, and we saw, you know, Peterbot kind of doing Peterbot things. Didn't really see how Faxity did go down in that game, but when we did see Peterbot solo, I think like 9 eliminations or something, I saw Rapid and Typical Gamer, you know, even though they did finish, second place in that last game, throughout the course of that game, I saw Rapid's name in the feed, and it wasn't getting eliminations, let me tell you. So I don't know how they were able to pull that one back, but much congratulations for them on that one. And, you know, Muzz and Somerset, you were talking about their drop spot on the side of the map. It's not not a POI at all. It's more of a split drop, but they figured out a way to make it work.
Yeah, it seems like, you know, a lot of that pre-existing duo chemistry, Summer kind of touched on it, but it was more so the fact that they just picked the perfect timing to
Clicks
really
killed
get the upper
Brayden.
hand on challenging height against Clicks and Lacey. It looked as though Clicks and Lacey were going to have a very firm grasp on the high ground, but that just got shut down in an instance, and it's difficult when
Look at
you're
that
playing the
beam.
high
Oh
ground
my
because
God.
you want to be playing the suppressive measures, you want to
Boy,
be
Victor
spraying
hit a
down
nice
into those
beam
lower
for
layers,
that.
but you always have to think about
Boldy.
looking up because you never know when that launch pad challenge is
Bino
going
gets
to
the nice
actually
one
break
pump
through
here.
and kind of throw everything up in the air for your game plan.
Man, just seeing that moment right there, just so close, Agers from getting that elimination. And you can see Muzz, Somerset. And the funny thing about this is they not only contested Clicks and Lacey for the high ground and won it, but they reconnected the Clicks and Lacey's high ground, which allowed them to hold it for as long as they did. Because you can see how little builds they actually had as Muzz drops down, kind of misses that first shockwave, but that shot right there, the opener onto Rapid, hits
What's
the
up, Craven?
back-to-back, gets the down. Typical gamers, just in a tight situation there, especially with the zone coming up the side of the mountain. We know how that one's going to end.
Yeah, that was just really well played by Muzz, just finding the advantageous right side. That's going to be the winning side almost every single time in those types of box fights. But still, I
Plants
also
versus
really gotta give a big
Zombies.
shout out there to Kanata because the fact that Kanata was able to pull out like a solo place third, he just won $200 just for surviving. So you never really want to count yourself out entirely, even if the circumstances look grim, even if you think that there's really nothing more to be done. Kanata's proving that he's ready to go the distance.
Yeah, I think this mode is a little bit more manageable for solos in this situation. And one of the things is because there is no Storm Surge that you have to worry about. There is
Peter
Storm
be
Surge
hacking?
that doesn't necessarily play the same role, but that allows for like a little bit more freedom. You don't have to worry about an aspect of the game where you have to accumulate
What about
damage
it, Craven?
while not taking damage. And I also think there's a little bit more freedom. I think Kanata has been in these scenarios before. Like I mentioned, he has played with Jason. He has pulled off wins in heal-off scenarios with Jason as well. So I think playing with Arc, I mean, he's already familiar with the kind of situation that he's in today.
Well, I know if anything, Arc might be feeling real good about watching his duo just kind of pull off a 3-100 for each of them because the way that they split, I don't think that
I said,
there
I
is
bet.
a better outcome than knowing that your duo is someone that you can depend on to still manage to come out on top and find those extra little bits of money for you.
Yeah, and it's all about consistency at the end of the day. Obviously, if you win every single one of these games, we know you're at the top of the leaderboard, but we know that it is almost virtually impossible, especially in a tournament like this. So it's about consistency. So like you talked about Kanata, we got Muzz at Somerset, we got Typical
back.
Gamer at Rapids, and that usually
Potatoes or
happens
guns?
this, maybe you can have
Potatoes.
maybe two at the most. and
Craven, this is the Fortnite Pro Am. This is where me and Liam will be next year.
get in
Trust.
their own head, because the comeback is always possible.
Well, even when we look back at, you know, some of the more types of things, like the Relay series is like obviously the standout for me. And I think how often do we see teams that really just needed like 3 or 4 solid end games, and that was usually going to be the recipe for success. And I think here today, it's kind of going to follow a very similar nature, maybe even less. Maybe only like 2 or 3 lobbies realistically need to be converted into solid end game placement finishes, but I do think that there's always the wild card back there of who's going to be able to rack up the most eliminations between matches. It seems like that is...
Yeah, Craven, this is basically the biggest tournament Fortnite hosts every year. So we're watching it.
As early as he did, that definitely slowed him down in the end game, and so we're going to need to see them try and stick it out more so as a duo rather than 2 solos trying to play it through.
Yeah, and honestly, we kind of know it. We've seen it here. You know, Victor Vegan.
Yeah, me and Liam will be here next year.
Then he'll pick up, Pete pick up his
We know we will.
And so almost means, you know, if Faxty was able to stay alive just a little bit longer, even if he eventually goes down, the resources that he would have in his loadout that he could take further into the game for someone like Peterbot is definitely like something that just cannot go unnoted. So just kind of going into game 2, I'm just wondering, is their strategies going to switch up? Are players going to try to keep things the same? I think for one game, it's a little bit too soon to start to switch things up drastically.
I wouldn't be too surprised, though, if we do start to see duos kind of approaching more of a chaotic stance on things, just because when you really experience it, like, super directly, this is the most direct way you're ever going to be able to experience, like, what a pro Fortnite player is capable of.
Craven, look, bro,
especially
TG's here.
like the NAC region.
Somehow.
I do think that it really puts it into your mind.
Yo, there's Dave the
that
Diver.
and I might not really
Dave the
didn't get to match
Diver.
any of them.
Me
So
too, right?
where can I put my strengths?
I
What can
mean,
I invest my stuff into instead? And I think where
eh,
a lot of that
Craven,
comes
Craven,
from
if we make
is
it, I'll let you
you
come
had
with us.
mentioned of just like being that sort of
If we
leader,
make it,
being
hey,
that
you
extra
could
backpack
sit like
for
over
your
here,
duo
watch
to
us
try and
play.
set
You know what I
them
mean?
in the best position
If we make
so
it.
that we can see instances like Kanata making it through as a solo and pulling off a third place finish. I think that anything and everything is certainly possible here, but whether or not teams start to lean more into that like chaotic nature, I do think that that's where the content side might start to take over.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like, some players might come in with the mentality of like, I'm just here for fun. I'm here for the vibes, make some content, collab with everybody in the game. But then after 6 games, you have a chance to win. That switch flips in your head. Like, okay, now it's time to take this serious. It was all fun and games, but now
Yeah,
it's
Craven, I'm gonna
time
have
to end
you,
with a
Gavin.
bang, essentially. And that's what I kind of
Trust me,
want to
bro.
see with
I
some
got a
of
lot
these
of
games. I
y'all.
want to see
If we
that
make it, I got a lot
switch
of y'all's
be
coming.
flipped, like in motion, realizing like they do kind of have what it takes to win the entire thing, and it honestly kind of take over through your own abilities. We know
Craven,
Crazy
TG looks like he
kind of
got
frag out with the
big.
best of them. We've seen Rapid use that in an actual strategy that won him the Reload Elite Series qualifiers, so we know what these players have in them. It's just about bringing it out of them.
Hey, Levin's ready to kind of stand by on the sidelines, though. You know, Big Dog's going to have a great conversation here with Pete, so let's hear what they have to say.
I am here with
Look at this
someone
dude.
who I think we're going to see a lot from today. That first game, how many limbs did you have, bro?
About 9.
About 9. Standard game for you. I mean, you had 9 limbs. What went wrong then? What was the problem?
Unfortunately, Faxity's nervous game 1, but we're gonna have to give him some pep talks for sure. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like honestly, you and him are friends, right?
This
So,
kid's like-
how are you gonna motivate him and calm him down?
Craven,
I
TG
don't
does
know,
look
I'm probably
big.
gonna bring up his weight, and then on top of that, I'm probably gonna tell him that he's the best content creator here.
That's nice. You actually said something nice about it, man. That's nice. I'm curious, right?
This
Because
said I'm
obviously
gonna bring
one of
up
the
his
big
weight.
narratives for this competition was last time we had a pro-am, it was different. It was the FNTS pro-am, and you played with Aussie, and you won. What is the biggest difference for you playing with Fax versus playing with Aussie?
I mean, I personally think Faxity is better than Ozzy, so
Yeah,
I
Jep.
don't think it should be a problem. But so far, Ozzy's looking, he has a better track record.
I did speak to Fax after the game, and he did say he's worried that you're going to shout at him. Do you feel like you have to sort of manage his personality a bit and maybe give him a bit of a softer touch?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Nah,
I
Jep, you're
already kinda
fine.
did yell at him, so it's already that. Yeah.
No wonder he's nervous, man.
I mean, bro, he shouldn't be nervous. He's playing with the best player in the game, you know?
All right, look, we're going to let you go prepare for the next game, man. Good luck. Let's get a double digit this time. 9 is all right, but you're Peterbot, bro.
12? 12?
Well, let's do talk. Let's do talk. All right, light work. I want to talk to another player who didn't quite have the best game, so good luck, Pete, in the next one. We're going to go talk to Lacey real quick because Lacey and Clicks were on height.
Oh, yeah, Lacey.
They were going to win the game, and then things kind of went awry.
Peter needs a
Lacey,
haircut. Peter needs a glow up.
quickly, right,
That's
before
all
you
he
get into
needs.
game, you and Clicks, you were on height in that first game, and it didn't quite go your way.
Holy
What went wrong
headset
on
dent.
Listen, man. Sometimes things don't go to plan.
Oh my
but
God,
one thing you gotta
Lacey.
focus on is building an empire. You know, this game is a temple, and Italy wasn't built in a day.
Right. I think people usually say Rome wasn't built in a day.
Where's Italy at?
Italy's in. Okay. All right, guys. Look, UTD. I'm sure they teach better geography at this university than what we got going on over here. So is the plan for today gonna just be to play high every game like that one?
No. I don't think. No, not the plan. It just kind of happened. We were just on it. I don't like it because they could just shockwave up, pop a little fizz, and then they're on height, and before I know it, they're on my head.
So are you doubting your IGL here in Clicks? So you're not agreeing with his strategy right now?
No. Whatever his strategy is, I'm doing it. Doesn't matter.
But you just said you don't want to play high.
My goal is that Peterbot does not win. That's my goal.
Okay, and how do you intend to make sure that happens?
I don't know,
I
Jep.
mean, right now he's honestly shit in the bed, so doesn't even matter.
All right, yeah, you know what? It's fine, brother. We'll get there eventually. We'll try again a bit later. All right, look, game 1 is down. It was an impressive game. It was fun. I think we saw a lot from some of our best players, but we still have plenty more games to go before we see who takes this trophy. Jacob, Taco, what do you think of that one? I mean, Lacey, Clicks, maybe not quite on the same page strategy-wise. I don't know, man. Things are getting crazy over here. Over to you guys.
Honestly, it just really depends on how you look at it. You know, I wouldn't say that's necessarily a bad thing because even though he doesn't want to play high, he's still just listening to his IGL. You tell me to jump, I'm gonna jump. You tell me to run, I'm gonna run. I feel like Lacey's just a part of that crew.
I don't know who was pressing him more, honestly. Clicks in game or 11 on the interview. I mean, Brody was getting cooked out there.
TG went. Yeah, Craven. TG got second last game.
For the next interview.
You got second.
Literally won, and you already know what it is. 3 strikes, and you're out of here, Bucko. We're gonna shuttle you down the stairs. Not actually, but like UTD does have a beautiful campus. Notice it on the way in here, so maybe he could go do some sightseeing. Cool off.
Maybe be a student here next semester, but honestly, well deserved for them. What did they get? Like second place in that last game. We're talking about Kanata. We talking about Muzz and Somerset. Again, you know, I feel like I was one of the few people that actually remembered Somerset's big win in the Clicks Icon Series. Beat Clicks out in his own tournament. Beat Clicks out in game 1. Is Somerset the kryptonite for Clicks?
I don't even know if she needs to be the kryptonite. She might just be the counter to the entire lobby. Her and Muzz just looked seamless. The moment that they got established on high ground, the moment they were able to have a successful challenge up against the likes of Clicks and Lazy and dethrone them, it just looked like everything else was a hot knife cutting through butter. They made it work every step of the way. I thought the material count, maybe it's going to be a problem, but Muzz shuts that down in a moment, just finding the better angle and just really understanding how to kind of tackle those endgame instances. I think that that's somewhere that like Muzz can definitely shine in that department because he's just not going to have that like nervous side. Muzz is great at like capitalizing those moments.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're kind of using the fact that like this is the
Okay, I think the
pro-am.
next
We
game's
got
about to
some of
start.
the biggest names in streaming, not just Fortnite itself. So it's kind of easy to get lost in like the limelights and having fun and making content. Muzz is like, all right, y'all do that. I'm just going to be over here having a calm, cool, collected game. He's not trying to get flashy in terms of eliminations. He's not trying to get flashy in terms of fight for high ground every single game. I think that was an opportunity that just came to them.
What?
So now that I'm kind of like looking at it, and you all kind of talked to about
Hunter,
them
what
being
are you
a little
talking
bit
about?
of kind of like that dark horse team, that honorable mention. But as the game, you know, one played out, I'm like, okay, maybe it's the ones just like this, the ones that are going under the radar, not making unnecessary risks until they absolutely have to.
Chat, we need 8 more subs for our next Sprite giveaway.
Duo that we are going to continue
Yeah, Timmy, I do.
probably having to talk about as the matches for today develop, but some teams that I definitely want to see maybe find a little bit more of that rise towards the spotlight. I know Cooper's Emmy, we saw a little bit of like flashes, but you want to see the consistency behind things. And I think that's where this kind of format can be very difficult in the reload environment, is that it is very hard to
Yo,
stay
T-Man, what's up?
especially when there are so many different things that can kind of shut you down along the way, because you never know. If you find an elimination on a duo and you put them to a solo after that 7th zone, well, what if they decide to just play spoiler the rest of the tourney? I mean, we already heard Lacey in that interview, I don't care what happens as long as Peterbot doesn't win. And what's Pete saying? I'm going to win. I just need Fax to be a little bit less nervous because I'm the best player.
Yo,
in the
Hunter,
game
what are you
right
talking
now. So,
about?
like, the confidence factor is 100% being exhibited right now. I think from a good
Yo, can this game
portion of
start?
our pros, for sure.
We need this game to
But
start.
I want to see that energy kind of be matched. And we know Fax. He's got more in the tank than that.
Yeah, I think especially since you kind of look at, you know, I was talking to both creators, pro players, and people just kind of joining.
Nice team, man.
today
Chat,
to
okay,
just
so if
watch
y'all
the
didn't
games
know,
here in
the
person,
people in the
you know,
orange
you
and
know,
yellow
Vic
kind are the
Bradley,
pros.
Ritual,
People in the
Nina, a
blue
lot of people
are
had
the
each and every
like
one of these
streamers.
teams inside of their top 5, maybe even potential to win it all. But we saw in game 1, they're contesting each other. And they're not messing around. I saw multiple times Ritual go down, Nina go down, Victor V went down. Each of them
Let me
took
move
their
this
turn
over.
getting rebooted out of the sky. So it just
Okay, now I can see
shows,
everything.
like, hey,
Yeah, that's who
even
it
if I
is.
go
So,
down, I'm coming back. I'm going
but
right
some
back
people
up
here
where I
are
left off,
pros.
and you're just gonna have to fight me again and
Like
again and
Faxity,
again until the zone clears
which is
itself.
Peterbot's
And that's a
teammate,
contested
he is
game
actually a
to
pro.
prove. The game ended there at game
They have
1, so
Jinxie, bro.
Victor V and Crackley probably fighting off Ritual and Nina all game long. So we'll kind of see how that switches up depending on where the zone goes if they continue to butt heads at that POI.
And it does make things difficult because you're already looking at a triple contested POI.
Let's
and
go,
then when you
Jinxie.
see the end zone kind of just like closing
I think
in on
Jinxie's
that
in
position,
last place,
you know
Tia.
that there's just so many pre-existing
Alright, here's our
conditions
drops. Where
that
is
you're gonna have to
Jinxie even
try
at?
and work your way through. I do think that
And
became
Jinxie
a
has this whole
problem
area, and he
in
got,
those final moments
yeah,
for
he
Raptor
got, I think he
and
died
teams
first.
trying to break through to even look
Okay,
for the final challenge
where's
onto
TG?
Muzz and Somerset. But
TG.
We don't know where the zones are going to pull.
Am I blind?
That's always going
TG
to
has
be
this whole area.
tricky,
He got
but
second.
the luck of the draw itself and
Clicks
to
is
all
contested by
the
Higgs and
circumstances,
Brayden. Shouldn't
I
be too
do
big of a
think
problem.
that Queasy presented a pretty smart strategy. It's one that we're very familiar with even when it comes to the reload environment of just you drop isolated, you stay separate from your duo, you hope that they're able to gather the materials, gather the loot that you need just in case things go south. But Queasy taking a bet on himself of, hey, where can I try and cause a little bit of disruption? Where can I maybe try and find some eliminations and just really be a problem for another duo to set myself up in the best position to finish ahead.
Yeah, especially since you sometimes
Yeah, we
gotta
need 8 more
realize,
subs
like,
for our
you
next
can't always
giveaway.
be the hero in reboot. You know, if Ash Alk or any of the players in the game go down, right, you're going to get rebooted right above your teammate. So that's a ton of information in its own. You know, you get a free elimination in the sky, or should, and then you know somebody is around that actual spot. The only time you don't spawn right above your teammate is if they're in the zone itself, and then you just spawn right there outside of it, kind of in that direction. So if you don't find anybody, maybe they reboot over open land, you know somebody is deep in that zone trying to
Okay,
stay
so the
alive.
game's about to
Even with
start because they
12
show the map
seconds,
and then
which
they
seems like a
get into
little
the
bit of
game. So the
time,
game is
probably
started.
in the moment 12 seconds
We just gotta wait
seems
for them
like
to
an
cut to it.
eternity, especially if you're getting 2v1 players trying to push into your box. Of course, if you get a knock, if you get an elimination or an overall team wipe, it cuts that time down exponentially. But when you're in a 2v1, sometimes you don't have the luxury to do that.
It's just got to feel like a lifetime, and that kind of scenario too. I almost feel like your shining hope is just that somebody else is rebooting at the exact same time as you, right? Because maybe then it can alleviate some of the pressure. Maybe then you hope that, you know, whatever duo is aggressing you, maybe they feel like they'll fare better at like farming that freshly rebooted player that just came in right after you. But yeah, a lot of it is just making sure that you can even get that initial touchdown presence in the first place, because whether you're playing next to your
Chat, I'm
duo,
gonna
feeling a little bit
predict
separated, I
Clicks
do think that we
gets
saw a handful
4
of
kills this game.
issues for some players in the end game where
Clicks
they
gets
weren't
4 kills
necessarily
this
able
game.
to kind of match the pace of their teammate, and so
Let's do a poll,
that
chat.
just kind of introduced a whole new slew of problems where you're trying to stay next to them. You want to go with the hit by hit mentality, but if you get separated, they can't exactly look back to get you.
Yeah, especially since a lot of the rotation that comes in is in the form of these shockwave overdrive grenades. And honestly, I'm one of those players that knows shockwaving with a duo, unless you're a professional player and actually know how, it is not easy. You don't know how to control it, and then you kind of end up elsewhere. And I think we saw moments of that with Acorn and Buddha getting separated. Acorn realized I cannot continue to hold his hand, especially we're in zone 9, zone 10, the later portions of the game where everybody's like jam-packed like a can of sardines. So I do like the heads-up play from Acorn to kind of abandon ship, but how many times do you abandon ship, get left by yourself before you got to figure out a way to kind of change things?
And also on the other note, you got players like Muzz who are intentionally throwing those overdrive grenades at you to try and.
Did you just ask who is Clicks? Alright, chat, answer that poll. Here we go.
Separate you from your duo. We
Yep.
saw.
Did you say who is Clicks? Kevin, you don't know who Clicks
Had a great
is?
placement on that overdrive grenade when he was dropping from height. It really allowed him to find that ISO positioning up against Rapid, and all the rest is kind of history from there. We saw who won game 1.
Yeah, it must throwing that.
Kevin, this
shot
is
grenade.
Clicks.
Essentially, you know, one of two
How do you not
things
know who
players
Clicks
have to
is?
build
What?
to protect themselves.
Yo,
Or
Kevin,
just
you
get
got
shockwave
some
somewhere while
stuff
trying
to
land
do.
a
That
shot,
is
and I
sad.
think it forced and put Muzz in a good
Chat,
position.
everybody answer the
Of
poll.
the game, you're seeing most of our players kind of loaded up, ready to go, just kind of getting that last bit of conversation in, and it almost makes me wonder, like, you know, you see two different sides right here. Peterbot, Clicks, Lacey, probably Faxity off screen, all chatting, talking to each other, and then you kind of see like the top side of the screen where like Veno is just chilling in his own corner. You got Ron talking to Jinxie, Poyo, Rapid are sitting next to each other, so you know Veno is locked in. You know Rapid for the most part locked
Pete
in.
got
And Poyo
fat
just locked
moves,
in.
bro.
I think Poyo's someone I think in
Alright,
games
chat,
where
I'm ending
he's gonna
poll,
come out with a
and
chip in his shoulder, especially
chat,
if
poll's
he's
gonna end on its own starting for now.
Jinxie
Like, I have a setting to where it ends on its own every, I think, 2 minutes after I start it, so I'm not a nerd. You don't need to be a nerd to... Okay.
A lot of what they've
Chat, you have 3 seconds left.
and putting it into actual application, but that could all change at a moment's notice. It's a very good reality.
I said
check
Clicks
there.
and
It's a
Lacey
very
wins
good
this game?
awareness check even. And I think, if anything, it makes this competition feel all that
Jinxie and
more
Ron.
real for somebody like Jinxie, who we know that he's been taking this competition pretty seriously. He's been trying to condition himself and put himself in the best sort of, practice to actually pull it all out here today. Make sure all the, stops and tricks are polished and ready to fire off. But he's Clix.
You don't need to be a nerd to know
He's
Clicks.
extremely competitive. And
Clicks
he's
is
not
really
gonna
popular.
In terms of like a lot of our
Who is that?
non-player creator Fortnite faces, I think Jinxie has been putting in the most time out of everyone. And it's not just him, you know, playing with other pro players. I mentioned, you know, the likes of Faxity, Peterbot, Rise, he's played with Poyo, but he also plays solos. He plays with other streamers as well, so he just makes sure to get as many reps as possible. And
Jet Dave the
being a
Diver's in the
streamer like
corner.
Jinxie, sometimes, you know, it's not necessarily the same game that everybody else is playing. You go through a ton more trials and
This is Dave.
tribulations than the random gamer, especially when you're having hundreds of thousands of people watching him. You know, that kind of helps him in a way deal with the pressure. But I think playing in a tournament versus streaming is just a whole different amount of pressure.
Honestly, when you think about it, everybody in this lobby, everybody in today's competition, Peterbot included, they are so lucky that we're not on OG. Because Jinxie would be flying, okay? He would be the dominating factor. But today's competition is all about our standard.
Alright, here we go. We're in a game chat.
On the Elite Stronghold map here at UTC.
Finally in the game.
We're heading straight into game 2 with Clix immediately trying to aggress Higgs.
Yeah, you already see in the feed, Cooper down, Muds down, winners up game 1, Hammy in the feed, early damage from Clix, which is going to give him a bit of confidence, try to push over. He does have a decent loadout, just no actual shields. He's trying to lurk, cut the audio visuals, the sound cues to try to get the jump onto Higgs. But the longer he takes in this situation, the higher probability of Higgs not only being healed up, but having a full loadout to fight back.
Clix kind of recognizing that the moment of opportunity has slipped by, so now he's better off just trying to take advantage of the spot. Make sure, get a little bit of materials, open a couple of chests, try and see if he can cut off some positional paths while on the other hand, I think that this is smart.
This is game 2 out of 7.
The perimeter, making sure that they're not going to be immediately third-partied.
Yeah, information is vital, especially in a tournament like this. It allows him to try to reunite back with his teammate. But it's actually jumping on to Lacey. Higgs just going on the full offensive here, but Lacey catching wind of this play. Literally seconds before getting jumped on, even having an opportunity there to fire back. Good communication coming out from Clix as well, closing the gap to make sure that if Clix and Lacey did get
Brayden goes down again. Nina kills Hammy.
Higgs has essentially kind of been pushed out of the POI. Fossil Hole, we already saw that Brayden was a little bit further off of the distance. I think that Higgs kind of has a great understanding of the fact that it's just, the juice isn't really worth the squeeze. It is not worth overcommitting this early on. We don't want to be one of the first duos eliminated, and if I find myself in that constant rebooting cycle, then we're just not going to be able to play the end game consistently.
Yeah,
Fred goes down to wait.
Staring at each other.
Fran goes down to
below, just trying to go
and Rapid.
Down. He does have the shield.
No. Oh, wait, Re and Rapid are not on teams. Okay. Rapid and TG, I gotta remember that.
So much structure damage that when you end up in a situation like this, it is a little tricky. But Rapid going straight on the offensive, freshly rebooted out of the sky is going to be Fran. Even with Re put down pressure onto Rapid, he still finds a way to get that elimination, and that's where you can kind of see Reed not necessarily going aggressive. He has to wait for Fran to get back in the game before he attempts any sort of offensive moves.
It's definitely just so unfortunate right there because Reed had proper intentions. He was doing a decent job at playing a little bit of defense there, but
Acorn and Muda.
When your duo is getting
With like, oh, they're fighting Guapo.
And Muda trying to see whether or not they can find one of their first eliminations in this game, and sadly Guapo will
Acorn goes on the Guapo.
Be able to run it through at their drop instead. He's going to have to hedge his bets elsewhere because Acorn and Muda holding strong.
Big elimination there, and I honestly got to give a little credit to the other side, being able to stay alive as long as he did. Just kind of keeping Acorn on the run, but Muda just feeling a little bit more confident. I want to see him kind of farm up, be the resource gatherer that they have right now. Only 6 builds. It's not going to be a ton. It's definitely not what you want to have with you into the end game. Taking out Guapo. Rise just trying to stay alive. The 12-second timer has already been started. So probably just a few more seconds here. Shockwave just in case to try to not only get distance,
Somebody
but
else
move
right
on
here.
over towards that drop where a whole other player fresh off of the reboot starts to go for it.
Red mark.
Does end up in the box. That's rapid. Shots continue to fire. Guapo's there. This could be a big win for them because they not only get the elimination, but they get that drop of loot.
They actually needed this desperately too. And not only
Nice,
that,
Timmy.
but they're doing a great job at pushing Coop back. That is until Coop decides to flip the narrative.
Oh.
Has been knocked, so now Rise, recognizing he is the last standing member of his duo, has got to be a little bit cautious. Doesn't want to find himself eliminated before Waffle actually has a chance to get that reboot off, but Coop definitely sending a message here. Probably a little bit unhappy that the supply drop didn't go his way, but at the same time, not losing out on too much here.
And this is a wildly different Cooper than we see in last year's Pro-Am. Cooper and Zemi last year were playing consistent, playing placement, playing their game. This time around, you see like the evolution of Reload in general. You send one of your players looking to get elimination. This Cooper is taking that role for him and Zemi. And honestly, this could be scary because they made it deep into that last game. They got to be decently high up on the leaderboard, so now adding to that total. But Coop goes down, the run finally comes to an end as Rise cuts it short.
But 5 eliminations, and we are in zone 3, Jacob. He is clearly trying to match the pace right now from what we were seeing out of the likes of Peterbot, for example, in Game 1. Victor V, I believe, at one point was even getting quite fraggy with it. So everyone's sort of recognizing the fact that, hey, I don't want to depend exclusively on the placements. I can still, you know, pack a little bit of a difference in leaderboard standings as long as I'm able to get some solid eliminations.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody was nearby when this kind of all played out. I think Rise realizes I can't go out and be the hero for Waffle. So, in essence, the roles have essentially switched. Usually it's the content creator trying to stay alive, while the pro could get as many reboots and eliminations as possible. But Rise picking up that elimination, he not only got the pile of loot, but that allowed him to build him a little base. So no matter what Guapo goes through in this scenario, Rise should be relatively safe.
And Zemi may be flirting a little bit with disaster
Oh,
here,
shit,
realizing
somebody
that he's
else
going
is
to
over
get
here.
points from 2 separate angles. I believe it's 2 different teams even. It's Queasy, while he was trying to
I'm
take
coming back.
some shots over
Hey,
Rabbit,
wait
was
2 minutes.
successful in landing that initial Mammoth. Granted, when you take that much damage yourself, you realize I'm just going to have to fall back. I don't think that it's worth risking being eliminated currently, but Zemi, he's just got to be so wary because Queasy at
Shit,
they like
they're
to
coming up behind us.
notice.
Yeah, right now, kind of see not a lot of heavy ammo. Cooper doesn't have a lot of shotgun ammo.
Yeah,
Only one shot left, and it almost has to be perfect here. Ending up on in the same box, trying to spray through and place as much control as possible.
Alright, I
But
got
that
him
one
behind
shot,
me.
I know it's in the back of his mind. It has
Behind
to be
us.
perfect, but he doesn't
Alright,
even
we
get
up
an
here.
attempt. Rapid instantly shutting him down. You can see typical gamer
Right
so
here.
far off into the distance.
I'm down.
But Rapid doing his job, picking up eliminations. And honestly, I like what I'm seeing.
I was
at
already
Rapid.
hurt
We've seen
from
the
the
same
first
thing
one.
in game number 1, just not as much early game success. We saw Rapid going down, but he was able to pick himself back up. And now, with a little bit less pressure off his shoulders, he's looking to kind of just continue to farm out these players that are getting eliminated here.
He just wants to keep putting the hurt on the Cooper right now. And Cooper doing what he can to see if he can try and maybe fall back. He's got Zemi close by, so maybe that 2 versus 1 could just be the narrative shift that they need. But for right now, got to take a look over what Reed and Fran are getting up to. I know they had a very difficult time from that initial opening, but seems like they've managed to get some form of recovery going for themselves as Rapid and TG now realizing that eventually we're going to have to reunite. It's just how long is it going to take Rapid to actually make it to where Typical Gamer is at?
Yeah, how much resources do you use on your way there? The zone is pulling towards the north. And right now, Cooper Zemi, they do have a launch pad back there, so I don't see too much reason for them to rush. You got to watch out the teams on the eastern edge, but around the map continue to get active. Victor B picks up another one onto Nina, as Booga and Yuki are looking to rotate together this time around, whether they're looking for eliminations or the launch pad. They're not necessarily looking to just kind of throw out their game right now. It is 5th zone, so there is 2 more before the reboots actually turn off, but it's around the 5th zone. You tend to play a little bit more careful.
Look, the lion is always on the prowl, okay? It's just a matter of time before they actually find their victims to go on the hunt for. But Reed, Fran, getting a little bit dicey here, but it's all about punishing Hammy and Agers, trying to see if he can prevent that from actually going down. He wants to play defensive measures for his duo, and that big mammoth shot is really going to cut the gap here, but immediately has to fall back. Reed just continuing to bear down on Ager's position. And now, 2 versus 1, will he be able to tango still?
Yeah, he went ahead and pulled aggressive. You poked the bear. Now that he's awake, he's looking to kind of start throwing punches right back. But Ager's using Shockwave, a lot of his builds to try to maneuver in and out. But third-party shots coming in. The annoyance from Frantic as well, trying to put down pressure, forcing him out of position. But Hammy is now down to Ager's 12 seconds. You're on the clock. 26 HP. He's able to pop one pizza, but he doesn't give you much HP. It's all shield. He's still one shot away from going down, especially with the player knocking on that door. Let me tell you, it's not Halloween. They're not looking for candy. They're looking for the elimination on the Agers, and he did it. He survived long enough for Hammy to get back.
And the movement is impeccable right now from Agers, but just long enough. It came down to the final wire, but now can Hammy do the same? Because you have to remember, he just freshly rebooted. That's a bad signal to the sky for everyone else in the vicinity, and whether or not Hammy's going to be able to follow suit, doesn't look like that seems to be the case. Believe Booga actually did find his first prey of the lobby there, but now Lacey clicks. Rather successful.
Wait, Click says 0 kills. Chat might be wrong.
You obviously always want to take it one step further as the matches continue to develop.
Yeah, we're talking about, how many games do you need? How
Chat, I
many
can't lie.
high-scoring games do you need to kind of take the whole tournament? You could have some
Low-key
hiccups.
bored.
We obviously know there's going to be speed
Think
bumps
I'm gonna just
in
get
the
back on
road. It's
Fortnite.
just about how
I think that's what I'm gonna do because Gavin wants to join, so I think I'm gonna just get back on Fort. Alright, chat. I'll be back in a second. Alright.
Is that Mr. Oxygen YP?
Yes, bro.
We good, bro? We good, bro? We good, bro? We good, bro? So was good. Hey, if I tell you how to do stuff, will you, like,